Good day, guys, and in today's video we have a Series 8 Apple Watch 41mm for battery replacement. So first things first, we're going to use a shaving blade to go ahead and open it from the sides after we thoroughly heat it up. So I've actually saved you guys that step and I put it on the heat. And we're going to use a plastic card, and then we're just going to go along the edges so we can cut loose the adhesive. Now you have to be careful with this one because the frame is plastic and it's attached to the screen. So when you go with the blade, you have to make sure you're going in directly at a 90-degree so you don't go inside of the frame itself. After we have it open, we're going to move the screen to the side. And then after that, we are going to prepare our tools. For this job, we do need a prying tool. In this video, I'm using a metal prying tool. I suggest using plastic so you don't puncture the battery. Obviously, you don't want to puncture the battery because it's a hazard. So we're lifting gently because there is adhesive on the other side of that battery. So after prying it gently, it's going to move to the left-hand side of this video. And then how it connects to the board itself is through a cable that runs to the side of the battery, and then it's a zip connector style. So it's covered by a small piece of tape that we are going to remove. And then we're just going to lift up that tab and then slide off that battery cable. After we have it out, we are going to get our new battery. We're going to install it the same way it got removed. So we're going to go ahead and slide in the cable right into that connector after we lift up the tab on the battery connector itself. So after it's connected, we are going to go ahead and just kind of place it in place. And then turn on the device just to make sure that it's working. Obviously, make sure to put back that piece of tape. I didn't remove it completely. I just had it folded up, so I was able to fold it back down. But if in case you had it removed, just make sure you put it back. This protects the connector, and the way it's laying, even though it's covered on the other side with a piece of tape, it is still laying towards metal, so you do have to be careful so it doesn't short out. Now we're just going to clean up the sides of the old glue residue. You have to be careful not to hit any cables. In this case, I am using a flat plate, so it's very easy to damage anything in its way if you're not careful. Obviously, I am very flat with the edge of the housing, just so I can make sure that I don't poke anything I'm not supposed to poke. Now around the cable, obviously I'm staying far from the cable because I do not want to get close with that blade. Otherwise, it's going to cut that cable. And any wrong move, I can just slice right through it, and it's going to be a nightmare replacing that cable. For most, if you do not have any microsoldering skills. Now the watch is still turning on. Upon initial boot, sometimes it does take a bit of time. Apple Watches are known to take a little time to boot up. So we're just going to continue cleaning the glue all around. Just make sure we have a very smooth surface. Once we lay that glue, the T8000 that we are going to use, and we push down that screen, it has to kind of lay evenly on that frame in order for it to prevent any dust of going in and then preventing it from loosening up the adhesive and that screen popping back out. Obviously, with opening the Apple Watch, they are not waterproof anymore, so you have to be very careful with that. If you are doing it for a customer, you have to make sure to let them know. If you are doing it for yourself, just make sure you do not wet that watch. Forgive my angles. I try to do my best to find the right angle. I am still cleaning the watch here. And now that the watch is on, I'm going to go ahead and test it just to make sure it's good. And then I'm just going to prompt it to turn off because there's no reason for it to be on for this step. And it just saves us the hassle from touching it by itself or disabling it for a minute or 2 or 3. But we're going to go ahead and grab our glue. In this case, I'm using the T8000 from Mechanic. It's available online at most parts suppliers, even Amazon, eBay. In my case, I'm getting it from a local supplier just because it's convenient for me. So we're just gonna run a nice generous bead on the edges of the frame, right where that screen sits. I try to make the glue continuous. I try not to have any spaces in between or try to evade having any air bubbles, just so it can be a full-on circle around the edge, so it makes proper contact around all sides. Now we're just gonna push back that screen in place, and then we are gonna use a clip to secure it. Now ideally you want that clip on there for like 10 to 15 minutes, just so that the glue can cure sufficiently enough for you to be able to reuse that watch. However, we do recommend not to use it until 24 hours, but after 15 minutes you can definitely remove that clip. We're just gonna obviously clean the sides right before, just so you know it's easier to clean the glue while it's still runny versus when it's solid. When it's solid, it's kind of a little hard to clean it off the edges right between the frame and the screen. We're just gonna use a small amount of alcohol. We're not going to put the alcohol directly on the watch itself because we don't want it to sip in and then dissolve the glue. So we're just going to apply it directly to the towel. Now that we have it clean, we're just going to apply our pressure clip on there. As long as it has a good amount of force, that's all you need. Well, there you guys have it. If you guys enjoyed this video, feel free to subscribe, feel free to like. If you have any comments, feel free to drop them down below. If you would like us to show you a certain repair, also please feel free to drop it in the comments below. If you are looking for any business to business repairs, certain things that you cannot do and you wanted to send it to us, feel free to reach out to us to our information below. And if you're a customer who are looking to send in this type of repair, we do accept mail-in repair. Just get in contact with us and we'll get you taken care of. Thank you guys again. This is Chris AD, and see you in the next video.